Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Time for weekly flights between Africa and CARICOM. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 10th September 2021. Details when we return.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
Welcome back. The Prime Minister of Barbados says the time has come for direct weekly flights between Africa and CARICOM, even if it means the governments of the region may have to initially help subsidize them. Joel Brown of TV6 News reports.
Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley said during the first Africa CARICOM summit that she did not want to dwell on the history of the ties between Africa and the Caribbean, which she said is well known.
And I ask us today to recognize that the first thing that we must do, above all else, in the words of Robert Nesta Marley, as he immortalized the words of Marcus Messiah Garvey, is to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. The mental slavery that has us seeing north only. The mental slavery that has us trading north only.
An apparent reference to the large volume of trade between the Caribbean and North America and Europe, and similar trade and commerce by nations on the African continent with the North.
The mental slavery that has prevented direct trade links or direct air transport between Africa and the Caribbean. The mental slavery that has blocked us from reclaiming our Atlantic destiny and forging our future in the image and in the interests of our people.
Ms. Mottley said the mental slavery she referenced has not allowed for the recognition by CARICOM and Africa that between them they constitute 1/3 of the nations of the world.
The establishment of a regular weekly direct airline flight between Africa and CARICOM, even if it means that we may have initially to help subsidize it, because without the vision that is necessary, without the mental emancipation, the unlocking of that 1.4 billion people will not happen. And we cannot justify the AU making CARICOM the 6th diasporic region without seeking now to ensure that the people of both regions can mix with one another and understand why we truly are family.
The AU, the acronym for the African Union, has 55 member states, which represent all of the nations on the African continent. CARICOM has 15 member states, which include Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago. During his address at the Africa CARICOM Summit, which was held virtually on Tuesday, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, also spoke about the benefit of closer collaboration between the member states of the AU and CARICOM. The summit was held virtually against the backdrop of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and against the backdrop of a coup in Guinea by the special forces of that African nation's military, which resulted in their detention of its president, Alpha Condé.
I've just had word that both our chair, President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo, who is also the chairperson of the African Union, and His Excellency Nana Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana and chairperson of ECOWAS, are currently chairing an emergency meeting of ECOWAS to discuss the unfortunate situation that has taken place in Guinea-Conakry. And I have been told that they will attempt to join us if they are able to conclude on time.
On Wednesday, Reuters and other international media outlets reported that the ECOWAS, which is the 15-member Economic Community of West African States, suspended Guinea's membership and called for a return to the constitutional order in Guinea and President Condé's immediate release. Jewel Brown, TV6 News.
Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley, meantime, says the world is standing at the edge of a moral precipice as she criticized the international community for not doing much to tackle climate change and its impact on small island developing states.
Addressing the virtual high-level dialogue on climate action in the Americas today, Motley questioned whether world leaders were prepared to take the necessary action to save lives, livelihoods, and the planet.
The word urgent is now becoming overused because it is not being addressed, but urgent is really what it is. We've all read that, and I quote, unless there are immediate, rapid, and large-scale reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius will be beyond reach. We stand here today, my friends, at the edge of a moral precipice. As leaders of Latin America and the Caribbean, it is our duty to our people, to our region, and to our planet to take the decisions necessary and to follow these decisions with action that will affect positive change in the lives and livelihoods of those people and those nations which are now suffering the worst consequences of climate change.
Alex Tasker, a former Insurance Corporation of Barbados Limited executive linked to the Donville Innis cash for favor scandal, is to be turned over to the authorities of the U.S. for trial.
Chief Magistrate Ian Wheats handed down the ruling in the District A Magistrates Court, but the extradition has been stayed for another 15 days, and Tasker remains on bail while his lawyers are set to appeal the decision made Wednesday afternoon. U.S. federal authorities want Tasker to be tried for his alleged role in a money laundering scheme that led to the conviction in the U.S. of ex-Minister Innis of pocketing bribes to award government contracts to ICBL.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
COVID-19 variants have been blamed for 2 severe outbreaks this year, including a 4th wave which, to date, has claimed 24 lives. St. Lucia, like most of the Caribbean, has to wait at least a month before receiving confirmation from officials at Trinidad's Caribbean Public Health Agency on the presence of a more infectious COVID-19 variant on island. The emergence of new variants of concern threatens to outpace the Health Ministry's COVID-19 response plans. Rehani Isidore of MBC Prime has more.
Genome sequencing, a sophisticated laboratory process used to detect mutations in COVID-19 viral samples, is not available in the region. That technical deficiency appears to have given the virus an advantage. Several regional public health authorities, including St. Lucia's Ministry of Health, has to wait up to 5 weeks before the only genome sequencing service provider at the Caribbean Public Health Agency offices in Trinidad transmit their findings from analyzed COVID-19 samples. To date, 4 variants of concern designated by the World Health Organization have been detected in the Caribbean, 2 of which, the Alpha and Delta variants, are present on island. The 5-week CAFA lag has prompted St. Lucia's health experts to come up with a workaround to keep pace with emerging COVID-19 variants infiltrating the island at the ports of entry.
Knowing that this is one of the areas that we don't have the full capacity to be able to manage, this really stresses the importance of us at every single level, every single service, ensuring the strict adherence to all of the public health protocols and really making a huge effort to get our population vaccinated. So far, for the variants of interest and the variants of concern, the vaccines that we have in country, that's the Pfizer and the AstraZeneca, have been very effective to reduce serious illness and also deaths and complications from it. So the strategy remains the same.
To restrict COVID-19 infections, the Chief Medical Officer stresses the importance of adhering to COVID-19 protocols.
We are not waiting to see that we have knowing that there's that 5-week delay. So we'll be running after the variants of concern. We need to act as if we have all of them in country from now and not use the limited diagnostic capacity for gene sequencing that we have to guide us. So that is why every single sector, every single service has to ensure that the public health measures are enforced and we try to get our immunization level higher and we try to keep the number of cases at a reduced level in country.
The WHO recently added another variant of interest to its growing COVID-19 monitoring list. The Mu variant, first detected in Colombia, according to WHO researchers, appeared to be highly transmissible and could cause severe disease. Mu has already popped up in 40 countries, which includes St. Lucia's closest southern neighbor, St. Vincent. Rihani Isidore, NBC Prime.
Government of Grenada makes moves to set up an ethics committee to decide who live and who die should things get out of hand for the country's limited health services in the midst of the recent spike in positive cases of COVID-19.
Grenada is setting up a committee to decide effectively who may live and who may die should the health system be overwhelmed by rising COVID-19 cases there. Health Minister Nicholas Steele Tuesday said what is called an ethics committee is being set up. Steele said the committee should be up and running this week.
Vaccination is the only road to take us back to the traditional observance of the Toshaos Conference. With all of the Toshaos across Guyana, President Ali implored at the regional Toshaos meeting held at the weekend in Latham, Region 9. More in this HGP Nightly News report with Alana Nadir.
Starting off his speech by expressing thanks and gratitude to the Tongue of Latham for their confidence in the People's Progressive Party, Civic, PPPC, at the 2020 general and regional elections. President Ali touched on several topics of how his administration plans on improving Amerindian communities across Guyana, as well as reassuring them that their confidence will not be displaced.
So I want you to put your hands together once again for the confidence you place in us. And I want to assure you that we will not displace that confidence at any time.
President Ali stressed on the health care aspects of the development, as well as the effects the COVID-19 pandemic has had on the different sectors in Guyana. Due to the pandemic, the annual Toshaos Conference had to be held regionally, in keeping with the precautionary measures that are expected to be taken to avoid further infections and spread of the coronavirus.
One of the traditional highlights of Amerindian Heritage Month is the hosting of the annual Toshaos Conference. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, this year's conference has had to be devolved into regional gatherings. We have been forced to hold several regional Toshaos conferences instead of the usual assembly of all Toshaos.
The president stressed that the pandemic has been affecting him from visiting communities across the country and interacting with villagers, which he absolutely enjoys doing.
My only regret so far is that we've had to face this pandemic and our travels and engagement has been limited. But I would have loved to be back in every single community, touching your hands and being with you in your villages.
Despite the importance stressed on the COVID-19 vaccines, His Excellency reiterated that the administration never made the vaccines mandatory.
And Guyana is looked at as a model in the way we responded to the pandemic. We have never at any time made this vaccine mandatory.
Reporting for HGP Nightly News, Alana Nadir.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.